Hello, DVD was still in its way to the homes and everyone was excited about it, but with Sony's leadership, the next step was already taken. Analog HD TV already existed in Japan and TV sets were starting to make higher resolutions available. From the 90s, analog HD TV broadcasting was also available in Japan and the WVHS recorders from 94, if anyone could afford it. The goal was to make the higher resolution usable and to make more storage space available, preferably not too expensive. Compared to the SD image size, Full HD 1920 by 1080 is 6 times larger in the case of NTSC and 5 times larger in the case of PAL. Sony was involved in two projects to produce and utilize improved laser diodes, which now use a blue laser. The diode itself was almost ready by 1998. Ultra Density Optical UDO was being prepared with the financial support of Mitsubishi Chemical and Plasmon, and it was a rewritable format based on phase change, so it was a magneto-optical format. The disc itself was 13 cm and could hold 30 GB. There was also a UDO2 version which had a capacity of 60 GB, and both were released on the market. The point was that it could behave like a hard drive, any data section could be replaced, overwritten and erased. Its target market primarily data backup. The other project is DVR-Blue. Panasonic, TDK and Philips were involved in this, but everyone had different goals with it. Philips aimed for a rewritable format, which later became BD-RE. Pioneer preferred a readable format, which later became BD-ROM. At the CTEC exhibition in October 2000, Sony introduced DVR-Blue. The Blu-ray logo was registered in 2001, and since the DVR-Blue versions were based on the same principles, the projects were merged in 2002 and named Blu-ray disc. Panasonic, Philips, Sony, Thomson, LG, Samsung, Hitachi, Pioneer and Sharp founded the Blu-ray Disc Association. Thus officially, these 9 companies are the copyright holders. Sony, as a test, a joke or who knows why, but in 2003 made the first device available for purchase. The BD-Z-S77 was 450,000 yen, about $3,800. It was only for Japanese market, wasn't any movie released, but it was a recorder, so blank discs were available, with a capacity of 23 GB housed in a cartridge, and it could record Japanese analog HD TV broadcast digitally. It also had a digital tuner for Japanese satellite digital broadcasting, so it could decode AAC audio up to 5.1. This device didn't recognize the AVC and VC1 codecs, True HD and DTS HD audio, as well as copy protection. The discs could be flagged with unique identification code. It never was a popular product, as you might expect, but it led to the next step. This 23 GB disc became the disc for the XD camcorders used in Sony's professional line for HD video recording from 2003 under the name of Professional Disc. Hollywood, however, resisted Blu-ray as the lack of copy protection. The DVD content scramble system protection cracked already, so that wasn't enough. They wanted something new. This became AACS, Advanced Access Content System. It was founded in 2004 and is much more advanced than CSS. It wasn't uncrackable either, but that's another story. By the end of 2007, BD Plus was added to the format, created by a separate company, Cryptography Research Inc., as a kind of second copy protection. It creates a virtual environment in the player and each title can be uniquely encrypted, detects if the player has been modified and can deny playback. That's why 20th Century Fox finally supported BD. It was said not completely cracked for 10 years, but it was circumvented. Anyway, it was an important step for Hollywood to finally accept Blu-ray. In 2005, TDK came up with a new, stronger coating for Blu-ray discs. The coating, called Durabis, allowed them to abandon the cartridge and leave the discs free. So the BD-ROM standard was finalized by 2006. The end of 2005, Sharp introduced a Blu-ray recorder that could record on both 23GB and the newer cartridge-free 25GB discs. It also recorded onto DVD-R and RV and had a 160GB hard drive. This is the Sharp BD-HD100. But the Blu-ray was a very expensive game. The DVD forum didn't want to accept it, perhaps under the pressure by Toshiba, because in the meantime they had completed their own format, HD DVD, and launched it in the market in March 2006. HD DVD had the advantage of being able to produce the discs on the same production line that produces regular DVDs, which convinced Warner, Universal and Paramount, so HD DVD had a small advantage. They tried to agree on a single format before, but it didn't work because the two formats are completely different. The Blu-ray group refused to give up anything, mainly because they knew that Blu-ray although is more expensive, but a more advanced technology. So the market will decide. Samsung took the plunge and launched the first new version of the Blu-ray player, the BD-P1000, in June 2006, 3 months after the first HD DVD player. But there were still no movies for it for about 2 weeks at least, by which time Sony had produced first 50 dates, The Fifth Element, Hitch, Underworld Evolution, House of Flying Daggers and XXX, all Sony and Columbia titles, and The Terminator from MGM. The first discs were MPEG-2 encoded, the VC1 and MPEG-4 AVC discs were only released after September. It's interesting that Sony wasn't in rush to release players after all. It only released the BDP-S1 at the end of 2006. It cost around $1,000 on the US market. Perhaps the priority at that time was the release of the PlayStation 3, which included a Blu-ray drive, so anyone who owns a console would also get a Blu-ray, DVD and CD player. It also became available in Japan by November 2006. With this step, Sony and Blu-ray disc could gain an advantage in the longer term, because at the beginning people were not really in a hurry for Blu-ray. It was expensive, both the discs and the player. I remember in 2007 in England I saw both Blu-rays in the stores. The players and the movies were side by side on the shelf, and the PlayStation 3, and they were quite expensive. Although the PlayStation 3 offered a slightly better price-performance ratio, since it's a game console and the player. Despite this, many people have been in the waiting mode until it was clear which format would be the winner. In February 2008, Toshiba announced that they will end the production and promotion of HD DVD. Blu-ray sales began to rise. So about the format. A gallium nitride diode produces the 405 nanometer beam by itself without any modification. In the case of Blu-ray, they were able to focus the beam better, so the size of the pits could also be reduced. The 400 nanometer pit size of the DVD was reduced to 150, and the line spacing from 740 to 320. However, to prevent the light from being reflected, the polycarbonate layer of the disc also had to be reduced. On a DVD, the data holder is sandwiched between two 0.6 mm polycarbonate layers. In the case of Blu-ray, entire disc is also 1.2 mm, but there is a 1.1 mm under labeling, then the holder layer. Finally, a 0.1mm hard coating which was developed by TDK, so the cartridge could be omitted, making production cheaper. Others made their own versions, including Sony and Verbatim. One sector 2 KB, 32 sector creates a block called cluster. The file system is UDF 2.5, which replaced the original BDFS Blu-ray disc file system. UDF 2.5 has the advantage of being usable on PCs and electronics. Blu-ray has been made more open for multiple uses. These use different folders. BD-AV is for the broadcast TV programs since the first recorder in 2003. BD-MV is the folder structure for factory manufactured discs that use a menu system. BD-MV recording is for recordable and rewritable discs. This is also the version 2 for recording broadcasts. RREF is for real-time recording and editing applications. HFPA, High Fidelity Pure Audio, the Blu-ray audio disc. This was only added in 2013. This video will be on Blu-ray video, which is BD-ROM AV, which stands for BD-ROM for Audio Visual Applications, and the basic version. Compared to DVD, it has become more advanced in every way. The video is no longer limited. Any official image size can be used up to 1920 by 1080 at any frame rate in progressive or interlaced mode. This is determined by the frame rate. So, for example, 24 and 23976 are progressive, 25 and 29976 are interlaced in Full HD. But it can also be progressive at 720. PAL and NTSC can be mixed within a disc, but not within a playlist. Within a playlist must always be the same format, both in frame rate and image size. MPEG-2, AVC and VC1 video codecs with a maximum data rate of 40 megabits per second for video. The total maximum data rate is 54 megabits per second. And the maximum AV rate that can be used is 48. So the image and the sound cannot be run at the same time at the maximum data rate. MPEG-2 audio and SDDS were removed. The latter was not used on DVD anyway. Lossless audio added, Dolby True HD, DTS HD, PCM remained, DTS, Dolby Digital and Dolby Digital Plus with increased bitrate for Dolby compared to the DVD. They can now go up to 640 instead of 448. Up to 24 bits and 7.1 channels. 48 to 192 kHz sampling rate. Later the format was expanded with Dolby Atmos and DTS-X audio, which doesn't use fixed audio channels but a configuration-dependent sound field. HD audio formats include the compressed version. So if an amplifier not able to decode HD audio, it can play the compressed version. DRA audio format was also added to the specifications. It was developed by DigiRise technology, used by Chinese TV channels, if still they use it. It was supposed to be available on discs for the Chinese market, but finally never happened. All this together with the subtitles placed in MPEG-2 transport stream container. Compared to the DVD program stream, the difference is that, presumably at the beginning, they had less confidence in the error-free operation of blue laser technology, so it can transmit error correction, system information protocol or other information, or even several images and audio independently. It's a packet-based data stream. The MPEG-2 transport stream is free. It also used by DVB, IPTV and satellite broadcast. In addition to the main menu, a pop-up menu was added, which can be accessed above the video material to make navigation easier. It was necessary because there are now 9 camera angles, 32 audio tracks, 32 subtitle tracks, 999 titles and 999 chapter points per title. A disc can contain 4000 clips, 1001 objects and 2000 playlists. This is important because it gives more possibilities when creating a disc. Not only a second video track can be added, but also a second audio track. Even these are limited. I don't remember any relays used. This is different from multi-angle or audio track switching. You can have a second picture or sound on the top of the previous one. The layering structure is built up in the following: BD Java background, if any, then the primary video, the secondary video, if any, the presentation graphics like subtitles, if any, and the interactive graphics on the top. We have reached the point where very big changes have occurred. The interactive graphics are no longer subpicture based, but a layered full palette graphic element. This means the selected menu button can even be a full color image. Programming has also become much more complex. There are two ways to programming Blu-ray. Both can do basically everything. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. One is BD Java. Sony pressurized this to be used. Java-based discs usually start with a small loading graphic. The menu elements on the disc are different, and Java programming contains all the information for the player, what to do and when. It runs as a kind of virtual machine within the player. The other called HDMV. HDMV stands for High Definition Movie. These discs also can do everything. At the user level, there is no big difference. All menus, buttons, videos are programmed at the actual unit. Therefore, the player only reads the current one. The menu system is a multi-page graphics with pages and buttons arranged in layers on top of each other. Based on the programming, the player selects which one is active when. They are saved in their own separate MTS file. Blu-ray has a lot more programming memories compared to DVDs, 16 plus 16. There are now 4096 GPRMs, or General Behavior Memory, some of which can be programmed, some of them cannot, because either the system will use it or it's reserved for later functions. Another 128 PSR, those are used by the system only. Previously mentioned AACS and BD Plus copy protection, not necessarily both on a disc, especially since royalties must be paid for both. They added another one, HDCP signal, to the HDMI output, High Bandwidth Digital Content Protection. This is intended to prevent copying during playback via the HDMI cable. In addition, BD also received region coding. Only 3 regions were defined: A, B and C. According to the Blu-ray Disc Association, by mid-2007, 1 million players were sold in less than a year, and after the PS3, many more players became available at a lower price, but Blu-ray still didn't become as successful as DVD, although it has gained much larger share in Western Europe, Japan and America over the years. Even movies are still released. 2013 was the peak in terms of sales, since 2014 shrinking due to the streaming. Blu-ray was supported by many more and bigger tech companies than HD DVD. Therefore, Toshiba deserves all of the respect for developing and trying it. Blu-ray, on the other hand, is much more advanced format in every detail, and more open for further developments, which has happened many times. But this will be another video. Thank you for watching, see you next time, please subscribe and press like, bye bye.